When you think of the Golden Arches, you likely picture a global icon of capitalism and unprecedented success, serving 70 million customers daily. Yet the two brothers who invented this entire concept were systematically erased from their own history for over 3 decades of time. Richard and Maurice McDonald died with only a tiny fraction of the multi-billion-dollar empire they originally created. Ray Kroc, the salesman, became the face of the brand, while the true innovators faded into a quiet and bitter obscurity. The paradox of the inventor versus the scaler defines the brutal reality of the American dream and the rules of wealth. Please comment legacy if you believe in the power of honor and the protection of your own hard work. The strategic philosophy of the McDonald brothers was rooted in an obsession with total operational efficiency and the elimination of all waste. They recognized that 80% of their revenue came from just 3 simple items on their sprawling barbecue menu of 25 choices. By collapsing their menu down to only 9 offerings, they reframed the restaurant industry as a technical system of high-speed production. They viewed the kitchen not as a place of cooking, but as a high-speed factory inspired by the assembly lines. This was a radical departure from the conventional drive-in models that dominated the mid-century American landscape and consumer culture. The soul of their subject was the pursuit of identical quality delivered at an impossible speed to every single guest. However, their philosophy was limited by their own desire for comfortable wealth and the total preservation of personal control over every burger. They feared rapid expansion because they believed that distant operators would inevitably allow quality standards to slip and damage the family name. This perfectionism protected their brand in the short term, but it also created a strategic ceiling that Ray Kroc eventually shattered. They were content with financial security, while Kroc possessed an appetite for scale that knew no natural or corporate limit in life. This fundamental difference in strategic orientation would prove to be the most expensive and catastrophic decision in the history of the family. The inventors built the machine, but the scaler understood how to use the machine to conquer the entire world. The financial engine that truly powers the Arches is not the sale of hamburgers or milkshakes to the hungry masses today. Harry Sonneborn, the first president of the corporation, delivered the brutal clarity that saved the enterprise from a total and final bankruptcy. He realized that the true business model was land acquisition and real estate rather than flipping burgers in the hot kitchen. By owning the dirt beneath each restaurant, they could control the franchisees and ensure a steady stream of passive income. Real estate income required no approval from the McDonald brothers because it existed entirely outside the original and restrictive franchise agreement. This move transformed a hamburger chain into one of the largest commercial real estate holders on the entire planet Earth. This technical breakdown reveals a system of massive operating leverage through subleases and strategic markups of 20 to 40%. Today, the company owns 45% of the land and 70% of the buildings beneath its restaurants worldwide across nations. This makes them a global landlord operation disguised as a simple fast food chain, serving billions of people every single day. System-wide sales now exceed $130 billion annually across 119 countries and territories of the globe. The brand is valued at over $200 billion, representing a machine of total market dominance and generational wealth compounding. This machine extracts value from operators while maintaining total control over the physical ground they occupy for their business. Ray Kroc built a personal fortune that reached $600 million by the time of his death in 1980 bone. His third wife, Joan, eventually grew that fortune to nearly $3 billion through very shrewd investments and stock appreciation today. This massive wealth was made possible by the transition from a single hamburger stand to a global landlord and system builder. The current leadership oversees an enterprise that generates more annual revenue than the gross domestic product of over 100 sovereign nations. Meanwhile, the brothers who actually invented the system died with almost nothing by comparison to the empire they made possible. This strategic disparity highlights the importance of owning the system rather than just the product being sold in the market. The crucible of the McDonald family began in the textile mills and shoe factories of Manchester, New Hampshire, during the industrial era. Patrick McDonald worked 42 years at the shoe factory, with total and faithful dedication to the men who signed his checks. Then the factory fired him without warning or mercy because he was considered too old to be useful any longer today. Patrick received no pension and no severance pay after decades of building wealth for his employers in the cold mill city. Richard and Maurice watched this humiliation and vowed to never place their fate in the hands of any corporate employer. They promised to become millionaires by age 50 to ensure they would never be discarded like their loyal father was. The family relocated to California in the 1920s, seeking the promise of the Pacific Coast and the new industrial economy. They opened a small orange juice stand and eventually secured a loan from Bank of America to open a barbecue restaurant. This humble beginning forged a moat of total independence that drove their early innovative success and their desire for total control. They were determined to build something that no corporation could ever take away from their own family hands and legacy today. I would love to hear about your own experience with setbacks or the loss of security in your professional career. Do you believe that failure is a necessary ingredient for building a durable and lasting legacy in the world of? The competitive moat of the business was the Speedee Service System, which Dick McDonald choreographed on a tennis court with chalk. He used the court to draw the kitchen layout and had workers practice their movements for several days to eliminate waste. By removing every wasted step, they reduced the service time from 20 minutes down to 30 seconds flat for every customer. This assembly line was inspired by the techniques of Henry Ford, but applied specifically to the high-speed production of food. One worker grilled patties, while another dressed the buns, and a third operated the high-speed fryers in the kitchen. The unique management principle was that the system was more important than any individual employee skills or personal culinary talent. This secret sauce made the McDonald's famous nationwide, as entrepreneurs flocked to see the miracle system in San Bernardino, California today. Competitors could not easily replicate the speed or the consistency without a total redesign of their own existing kitchen and staff. The brothers had created a technical moat that was founded on the physics of human movement and the data of sales. They also utilized custom equipment like the multi-mixers to mix 40 milkshakes at one time for the thirsty crowds. It was this high capacity for production that first caught the attention of the traveling salesman Ray Kroc in 1950 Bone. He saw a system that could operate in every city in America, while the brothers only saw a restaurant. Global adaptation required a leader who was hungry for scale and willing to take massive risks that the brothers refused. Ray Kroc founded the new system in Illinois and immediately faced the challenge of operating in a cold and snowy climate. He implemented necessary adaptations like basement furnaces that the brothers viewed as a threat to their original and perfect design. Kroc used data to identify that the real estate play was the only path to survival for his expanding corporate vision. He was nearly bankrupt in 1960, despite opening dozens of locations because his royalty produced very minimal net income. By controlling the land, he bypassed the written approval clause that the brothers used to stall his national expansion plans. The use of frozen fries and powdered mixes allowed Kroc to improve consistency and reduce costs across all global franchise locations. The brothers rejected every proposal, viewing each modification as the corner cutting they had always feared would ruin their family name. This conflict illustrates the tension between the inventor who seeks perfection and the scaler who seeks a universal and repeatable. Kroc analyzed the failure of the original franchise agreement to build a moat of land ownership that the brothers could not. Invite you to subscribe to Old Money Habits 7 for more strategic deep dives into the world of durable wealth. Join our community of analysts as we decode the fine print behind the most famous brands in human history. The legacy and governance of the company was forever altered during the 1960 moat buyout that ended the family ownership. The brothers asked for $2.7 million to ensure they each walked away millionaires after taxes were fully paid. But the scandal at the heart of this deal was a handshake promise for a perpetual 0.5% royalty payment. Kroc allegedly promised this royalty on all future gross sales, but the provision was absent from the final written contract. Trusting a handshake agreement between businessmen, the brothers signed the document and lost a fortune now worth billions of dollars. This failure of governance proves that old money habits require everything to be put in writing without any single exception. The handshake royalty would generate $650 million annually if it had been honored by the corporation today. Cumulative unpaid royalties since the buyout in 1960 moat now exceed $15 billion in total wealth. Kroc was a vindictive man who sought to destroy the brothers after they refused to include their flagship restaurant in sale. He opened a brand My location approximately 1 block away and used national advertising and brand power to crush them. The Big M restaurant saw steadily declining revenue until it closed in 1970 and was demolished 2 years later. The birthplace of modern fast food was erased from the landscape, while the name McDonald conquered the entire global market. I am curious to hear your views on meritocracy versus inheritance in the comments section below after hearing this tragic. Was Ray Kroc a visionary leader who maximized the potential of a stagnant operation, or was he a ruthless opportunist? Share your thoughts on the ethics of business and the absolute power of a written contract in the corporate world. The McDonald brothers invented fast food, but the world only remembers the man who owned the land beneath the arches. This story serves as a cautionary tale for every innovator who believes that a product is enough to protect them. In the game of capitalism, the scaler with the better system of ownership will always win the long game. The architectural synthesis of the McDonald story teaches us that inventors must also be strategic owners of their own systems. Old money habits require the protection of intellectual property and the total control of the physical assets that generate thee. The brothers perfected the burger, while Kroc perfected the system of land acquisition and global scale across many different nations. Expert recommendations suggest that a handshake is never a substitute for a legally binding written document in any business transaction. The brothers lost $15 billion because they trusted a verbal promise instead of insisting on a clear written clause. True old money is built on the fine print and the control of the operational machine that survives. This material is for educational and reference purposes only, and does not constitute any financial or legal advice of any. We study the history of wealth to improve our own lives and build more durable systems for our future legacies. The lessons of the Golden Arches remain a cautionary tale for every innovator and entrepreneur working in the market today. We are grateful for your time and your participation in this community of strategic thinkers and legacy builders here. Let us improve our lives together by studying the architecture and the governance of the world's most successful brands. The eagle flies because it owns the ground below its nest and the sky above its wings forever. The surname McDonald actually means son of the world ruler in the ancient Gaelic language roots of the Scottish Highlands. While the brothers lost their company, their name still rules the world of global fast food in almost every country. Improve your life by learning the rules of the game before you enter the business arena to face the scalers. Stay focused on your own system and ensure that your hard work is protected by rigorous governance and written contracts. Thank you for watching Old Money Habit 7 as we explore the secrets of the global elite and The story of the arches is a reminder that the system always beats the inventor in the end.